So it's a perfect storm because you add that to the situation that we have with our government, which is that it is wired, and it's about the money, that we will continue to support Israel unconditionally, that we will continue to fund the colonial project of Israel, basically politically and economically taking over the entire territory to the tune of $3 billion, and that's just the hard money. Now, AIPAC has a really easy job. Senators, and especially members of Congress, are already disposed to believe whatever the prevailing American narrative is about in terms of who the Palestinians are and who the Israelis are. And the Palestinians are these scary, dark people with this scary, dark religion that are terrorists. And the Israelis are these good, white, Judeo-Christian Europeans, and they're the democracy and they're our friends. That's the prevailing narrative for America. It works, to define the conflict. And because the military contractors, 80% of which the money of that, the $3 billion, 80% of it comes back to them, make sure that they've got jobs in all, 300 plus districts in the United States. That works. AIPAC doesn't have to work very hard to get the congressman to buy that narrative. And if anybody didn't already understand that the diplomatic process was not going to bring about a settlement, a peaceful settlement and a stable situation, even a partition, which is what the two-state solution is about. A partition which would officially legitimize the monumental losses that the Palestinians have already experienced for generations. If anybody didn't believe that this process was not going to work, you believe it now after the last week. Because the parties are not capable. Israel's government is officially, officially they say we want peace, right? But Israel's government is committed to keeping the process going the way it is now, which is that they keep taking more land and keep establishing more of a presence and establishing the infrastructure, more of the infrastructure to control the entire territory, whether you call it one state or two states. And the Palestinian Authority is a client government, bought and paid for. They're not working for their people. I mean, the parallels of the first century are very clear to me. When Jesus came to Jerusalem, he was challenging a client government in Jerusalem, the priests and the kings. So we have Herod, and it may not be very. Most Palestinians will not disagree with me when I say that Abu Mazen is Herod. He's not working for the Palestinians no more than Herod was working for the Jews. He was working for Rome. So the parallels are very clear. I believe that what we are witnessing and what we are standing on right now is the foundations of a global movement to delegitimize the current political situation. People ask me about one state and two states. It's a red herring. There is one state. There's a single apartheid state. It's there. It's done. If a, quote, peace agreement is brought about, it'll be a legitimization of that. And it won't be stable. It won't work. Resistance will continue. So, and here I'll close. What we need to do, first of all, I think that the church in America is critical. It's crucial. You've done it before. You can do it again. You need to take it on. It's the most important cause that you can take on. And my own experience, and I've spoken now in hundreds of churches over the last couple of years, is that people in the churches accept sort of gratefully and enthusiastically this message because they know it's the right thing to do. And it enlivens the church. This is what MLK was talking about when he talked about in the letter from the Birmingham jail, where he says the church has to reclaim its early spirit. Otherwise, it will be an irrelevant social club with no meaning for the 20th century, which is what he wrote in 1963. The church is looking for this. And in the denominations, you have these what happened with the Presbyterians over the last couple of years is a wonderful example. And maybe we'll talk more about it, and I won't steal the thunder. But the last GA, God bless the Presbyterians. In 2004, totally naively, not knowing what they were stepping into. They said, well, yeah, Caterpillar, they're doing this. It's military stuff. It's illegal. It's in violation of international law, and it says here in our rules and regulations that we have to divest from companies like that. So they did. And they got hit so hard they didn't know what to do. And so they took it back. I mean, some Presbyterians will deny that. After 2004, you took it back. But you're going back into the fray every year, every 2 years. There are more overtures that are brought to the General Assembly, and you will get there. And this is happening in the other denominations as well, but the Presbyterians are really, I mean, I've worked some with the Methodists, it's happening there as well, the Episcopalians. So we need to talk about that. I think it's what needs to happen, and I think you need to pay the price of what it means in terms of the Interfaith Project. This is not an interfaith project. That was a good project. It's still a good project. Anti-Semitism is bad, but that's not what this is about. Boycott, divestment, and sanctions. A global movement, Palestinian-initiated, legitimate, powerful. It's worked before. It's harder now. It's different now. You know, to do that, to have a global movement against apartheid for Americans was easy. Oh, right, white people stomping on black people. We know what that's about. That's bad. Well, you know, we didn't have the same investment in South Africa, and you didn't have the Christian issue, the Christian-Jewish interfaith issue. You didn't have that. It's huge, which is why it's running into such barriers. But it's growing, and it's important. Support for civil society movements in Palestine and Israel. It's a big tent, selling olive oil at Advent, presenting another face of Palestine. You know, it's a big tent. It educates people. Having people see the movies and hearing the speakers that are coming out of Palestine and Israel, following the Jewish peace movement, the peace movement in Israel, what's left of it, and supporting those people, having them come here. It's extremely important. We're in for, I don't know how long of a struggle, but a struggle when those civil society organizations will need to be supported because they're living in a bad situation and it's not going to get better fast. This is really our job right now. Jew, Muslim, Christian, it doesn't matter. But the church is wide, deep, and well organized. The church in this country has the power, it has the people, and frankly, not because Christianity is the best religion, but the message of the Gospels and the message of Jesus, if you go back to the first century and you put it back in its historical context, it speaks to what's happening today. We need Jesus. And as a Jew, I am so pleased to be able to say that because he was one of mine, and I feel now connecting with that. Because I feel that Jesus was taking Judaism where it was supposed to go. Connecting with that, more Jewish than I've ever felt in my life.